Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, yesterday I saw a tweet and I posted it on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, and it generated some great discussion. And what I wanted to do right now is bring that discussion to YouTube. And this is what the tweet said. It said, Obama picking McCain over Aretha is a metaphor for his whole political career. And when I posted this, I said that that's sad, but it's true. It's true. It's truth to that statement, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. And before I get started in this video, I just want to be clear for those of you who are not familiar with this channel. I am an Obama supporter. Let's be perfectly clear about that. I've done videos where I've explained what kind of policies he's helped to enact that have been beneficial to the black community. So I'm not one of these people who get on here and pretend like Obama's done no good for the black community. I'm not one of these people who say he's done nothing for black people. I'm not like Yvette Carnell or Boyce Watkins or any of these other people who are delusional when it comes to what Obama actually did for black people, what he did that was beneficial to black people. For those of you who haven't seen my past videos, I'll post a link in the cards of a video where I explain exactly what Obama has done that's beneficial to black people. So this is not a policy question, in terms of the statement that this woman put on Twitter. It's more about attitude. It's more about the way someone does something. See, Obama, he was reluctant to speak out on matters of race, because he feared the political ramifications. So every now and then he would make a statement here and there about issues of race, like, for instance, the Trayvon Martin statement, his statement about Henry Louis Gates. But for the most part, his career, his political career, was built upon avoiding issues of race, avoiding it, talking around it, talking in ways that are all inclusive, speaking in a way that appeals to everybody without alienating anyone. That's his whole approach to dealing with things. And when it came to speaking on issues that are directly relevant to the black community, when asked to address these issues specifically, to speak on these issues specifically, we were reminded through Obama's spokespeople, through his handlers, his staffers, his supporters, that he was not the president of Black America, that he was the president for all America. That's what we were told constantly when we pressed this man. But when it came to other groups of people, they weren't told that kind of language. They weren't given that kind of language. They weren't told, for instance, when the immigrant groups came to him pressing their issues, they weren't told that he's not the president of immigrants. He's the president of the United States of America. When women came to Obama pressing their issues, they weren't told that Obama is not the president for women. He's the president of the United States. When the LGBT community came to Obama, pressing their issues, advocating same-sex marriage, they weren't told that he's not the president of the LGBT community, he's the president of the United States. They weren't told this stuff. All these groups, when the corporations came to him, when Wall Street came to him, they weren't told that he wasn't the president of Wall Street or the corporations, that he's the president of the United States. When the Jews came to him, when the Zionists came to him, he didn't tell them that he wasn't the president of the Jews or the Zionists. He was the president of the United States of America. He didn't use that kind of language. But when it came to black people, the group of people that supported this brother more than any other group of people in America, they were told that he's not the president of Black America. He's the president of all America. I think that that kind of language is dismissive. I think that kind of language is condescending. And I think that that language reflects an attitude of the Obama administration. And that's why this statement that this sister put up on Twitter is so on point, because it speaks to the reality. it's like, in a sense, he dealt with black people from a distance. Sometimes Obama would lecture black people about personal responsibility, about respectability politics. That's what Obama would lecture black people about. Lecture black men about how they're not, how they need to do better as fathers, how they're not, doing what fathers should do and all that kind of stuff. And I understand that there's a place for that. I understand that. But it's just the nature and the quantity of the times that this man has made those kind of statements when it comes to black people. Lecturing black men about personal responsibility, for instance, at the Morehouse graduation, where you have all these black men who completed their education, all these black men who are going on to become professionals, but he's lecturing them about personal responsibility as they stand in the rain. So, I think that this statement that this sister put up on Twitter speaks to something. It touches something. It touches a nerve that a lot of people try to ignore, man. How in the hell is Obama going to find time to attend McCain's funeral, but he can't find time to attend Aretha Franklin's funeral, the Queen of Soul? I mean, even if Obama could not attend in person, why not at least have Michelle Obama make a statement? And the reason why this is so important is because this Aretha Franklin funeral embodies blackness. It is about the celebration of the Queen of Soul. You had all these black entertainers there, black civil rights leaders there, black activists there. It epitomized blackness. And that blackness was so epitomized that you had people like Maxine Waters come in, and she threw up the Wakanda sign. Wakanda. And we all know about Wakanda, the black country that was powerful, technologically advanced, independent. That funeral embodied blackness. It was in Detroit, Motown, my hometown where I'm from. You had Reverend Al Sharpton there. You had Jesse Jackson there. You had Michael Eric Dyson there and Minister Louis Farrakhan. That funeral embodied blackness. And by essentially not attending that funeral, that spoke volumes. Now, the Obama sent a statement, paying tribute to Aretha Franklin, and that's a good thing. A statement is great, but a statement is not as powerful as your presence is. And it's like, that's what Obama does when it comes to black people in a sense. He deals with us like from a distance so that he can make it in terms of politics. Because I think that he feared, like when he was in the White House or as a politician, that if he embraced black people too much, then that would alienate him from other votes that he needed in order to maintain his coalition. I mean, this distancing, is embodied by him throwing, Jeremiah Wright under the bus. And I understand that there are complicated politics dealing with that. I understand that Jeremiah Wright was some kind of liability based on his statements or whatever. But the fact that he would throw his pastor after, of 20 years under the bus just speaks to how he deals with black people. His approach to dealing with black people, his political approach to the black community. And, it's just sad, man. It's just sad. And, he's not running for anything anymore. Why does he still feel this need to appeal to the people? Appeal to these voters and all that kind of stuff. Why can't he just be black? And I think part of the answer to that is he wasn't raised as a black person. He was raised by his white grandparents. His black father, who was an African immigrant, had a very limited role in his life. And that's part of the reason why he was acceptable to the white community, because of that upbringing, because he had a white mother, because he was raised by white people and had mastered white mannerisms and whiteism, to put it bluntly. That's part of the reason why he was elected. And that's part of the reason why there's still this disconnect between him and the black community to some degree. I mean, obviously the black community supports him, but I'm talking about his attitude towards the black community. It's like he's not fully embraced it. You know, I mean, can you imagine a Jewish president not having courage to speak out on, issues pertaining to Jews, or, or issues dealing with Israel and all that kind of stuff, or a gay president not speaking out on behalf of the gay community, or a president that had immigrant parents or whatever not speaking out on immigration issues? You can't imagine it. But unfortunately, Obama was limited in what he could do and say because he was concerned about appealing to all these different groups of people. So again, I think this sister's tweet is on point. It's sad, but it's true. And this is not to negate the good things that Obama has done. It's to acknowledge the reality of how he's dealt with the black community, man. I mean, here he is going to a McCain funeral over the Queen of Soul's funeral. He's going to his political opponent's funeral. Somebody that opposed various policies that he had. Someone that paved the way for a Donald Trump to emerge, by selecting somebody as nutty and as crazy as a Sarah Palin to be his running mate. And people want to give, McCain so much credit just for doing what any decent human being should have done. Like when it came to this particular voter who was calling Obama an Arab or whatever. So, I mean, that is something to be celebrated, without a doubt. I don't deny that that's something that, people should commend him for, but the extent to which they're commending him for it, making him out to be a hero simply for doing what a decent person should do, I think that's a bit much. And I understand that, McCain is a great quote unquote American because of what he suffered. He was a prisoner of war for 5 years. He was a senator for all these years. So I understand that he's made a great contribution to this country in some respects. But also, I mean, people are trying to brush over the negative aspects. The fact that he went to this Confederate Day thing in South Carolina, the fact that he opposed the Civil Rights Act of 1990, if I'm not mistaken, or 91, that stuff gets glossed over. And it's just a shame that, Obama could have at least, had Michelle Obama go to the Aretha Franklin funeral. One of the blackest events ever. And the Obamas are absent. That alone says a lot. And I just want to respond to a couple of comments that I received on my personal Facebook page. Just a couple of comments. So this one comment, from an African-American woman said, he can't just be for us. When you're in that position, you're supposed to be for everyone. That's the misconception blacks have. Always want somebody to be for us, but we can't even be for our goddamn self. I mean, again, that goes to what I said before. Obama can be the president of all these other people. He doesn't have any problem, like he didn't have any problem like advocating for gay issues, openly advocating for same-sex marriage, openly advocating for immigrants or for women and all that kind of stuff. Openly doing this, openly being the president for those groups of people. But when it comes to us, he can't speak out on our issues. He got to be for everybody. I think that's absurd. And I think that we deserve better, especially given the fact that we supported him more than any other group of people. And, the fact that black people are parroting this, saying that he has to be the president for everyone, that's part of the reason why, some issues did not get thoroughly addressed in our community, because we didn't apply any pressure on Obama. We didn't apply the kind of pressure that we should have on Obama. Again, he's done great things without a doubt, but he could have done more if we put pressure on him the way we should have. Instead, some of us were just happy, just content with the symbolism alone, man. The symbolism was enough for some of our people because some of our people are politically uneducated. Some of our people are unsophisticated when it comes to politics. So just bear with me a second. I'm going to look through some of these comments. Yeah, and somebody else said, how about stop giving Obama a pass? I mean, I think that that's true. I mean, obviously, Obama's not in the White House now. He's not affecting policy. But we gave Obama way too many passes. We made way too many excuses for him. And I just don't think that other groups operate like that, man. And if we want to be effective politically, we have to stop making excuses for people and stop being content with the mere fact that somebody is black. That's not enough. That's not good enough, man. Like this year, you have like 3 African Americans who are running for governor. They've won the Democratic nomination, and some of them or all of them may actually get elected. And we cannot afford to repeat what we did when Obama was in the White House, man. It's black people that made it possible for Andrew Gillum to get elected in Florida. I mean, if you look at the districts, on CNN, they were breaking it down like the predominantly black districts are the ones that pushed him over to make him win that nomination. So he's a progressive. His rhetoric is progressive. I just hope that once this general election goes forward, that he's not like going to the middle and neglecting the black community and not speaking out to the black community. We have to demand that these politicians speak out to our issues. We need to push them just like any other group of people push these politicians. We can't afford to give any politician a pass, regardless of what their race is. Not one. And then this person brought up that Oprah did not attend the funeral as well. So that must mean she's not for black people, like saying it real sarcastically. And people been saying it for the longest time that Oprah's never been for black people, man. I mean, that's not new information. I mean, even though she supported Obama or whatever, she's like one of these other types of people that's mainstream, that's all about appealing to as many people as possible. And I mean, it makes good business sense. Like if you want to sell a television show or you want to get viewers and stuff like that, it makes good commercial sense or financial sense to do so. I mean, it's lucrative to do so. So I get that, but the point of the matter is she's never been just about black people. She speaks to white middle class people. That's her core focus, and that's why she had such mass appeal. She's never been like some staunch advocate for black people. Like there are moments where she's talked about racism here and there, but she's not up front speaking about racial issues. She's not up front openly advocating, for against police brutality or openly supporting groups financially that are engaged in the struggle. Not that I'm aware of. So I mean, I think that that's a weak point to like joke around about how, well, just because she's not at the funeral, she's not for black people either. It's deeper than that. She wasn't for black people before then. And, so that point is weak. It doesn't like advance any argument to bring up Oprah. And then like just want to go through this. Some people said, well, McCain personally requested that Obama speak at the funeral. And yeah, that's true, he did, but that doesn't mean that he had to speak there. And how do you know that he wasn't requested to speak at Aretha Franklin's funeral? How do you know that? And then someone said, well, the funeral has far-reaching consequences. and they're saying it may have a positive impact on the midterms, and maybe like Obama has some kind of message that will impact the midterms and all that kind of stuff. And they said that being there is the responsible and honorable thing to do. Yeah, I mean, I understand, I get that to a degree, but it's responsible. Yes, it's responsible. Like in terms of Obama, I mean not Obama. McCain asking Obama to go there and him complying, and just the political ramifications. It is responsible. I mean, I get that, but he could have sent Michelle at least to Aretha Franklin's funeral, man. How difficult is that, man? Why couldn't that happen? And as far as the impact on the midterms, I don't think one little speech that Obama gives at McCain's funeral is going to have any impact at all on the midterm elections. I don't think it will. Um, you know, I don't think his statement is going to persuade, some of these right-wing people to all of a sudden vote for some Democrats. Yeah, so that's all that I want to say about that. Tell me what y'all think, man. Do you think that Obama basically dissed the black community by not going to Aretha Franklin's funeral? Do you think that tweet about his sister is right and exact, or do you think it's out there and completely wrong? Tell me what y'all think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.